Fourth and goal. And they're going to snap it, and it's Trey Burton who throws, caught, goes, touchdown.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Phaithful Phanatics show. I am your host, Dylan Davis. To my right, my co-host, Matt McGinty. It is a Monday edition of the Phaithful Phanatics show. Not a Victory Monday again. We weren't lucky enough to feel and host a victory show for the second consecutive week, but nonetheless, the Phaithful Phanatics are brought to you by DSM Media. So if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button on our YouTube, hit that follow button on our Twitter account at DSM_media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, wherever you get your content. We are on all social media platforms. On today's show, again, we got a lot to break down as the Eagles lose their first game of the 2021 season, 17-11, home at the Link to the hands of the San Francisco 49ers. We'll break that game down and recap it as best we can for all you guys. And the Phillies somehow have found their way back into my mind and your mind and everyone's minds as they currently sit 2 games out of first place behind the Atlanta Braves in the NL East. So we will talk about that. Bryce Harper, his MVP type of performance this season and the second half of the season, and it's going to be a fun show. With that being said, Gint, let me throw this to you first. Here's the first question I had from you following yesterday's loss. How does it have you feeling? And you guys out there, comment as much as you guys want to, and you can answer this question as well. Let me know how you're feeling as Eagles fans today. Did you kind of get a reality check and you're like, okay, they played a really bad Falcons team in week 1. They beat up on them, and now I saw firsthand what this offense looked like against a formidable defense? Or do you find yourself saying the Eagles only lost by 6 to a good team in a game where the defense looked really good and the offense shot themselves in the foot time and time again, stupid penalties on the defensive side of the ball late in the game, and they can compete with good teams? Again, what are your thoughts?
So when we made our predictions, I predicted I didn't think the Eagles were going to win. I think week 1, we got a lot of our hopes up, and Atlanta, as we brought up, had a very, very bad defense. So we saw maybe some mistakes that we saw yesterday covered up against Atlanta. And, I mean, we saw it firsthand. Jalen Hurts didn't look the best after he looked unreal week 1. The offense couldn't really get anything going. We talked about how we had a 2 tight end system that we thought we could really take advantage of San Francisco. They were non-factors. So I think it was a reality check for a lot of people, to be honest. I think a lot of people rode a high horse coming into week 2. But with that being said, I'm not sitting here saying, I'm out on the Eagles, start Joe Flacco week 2. Like, you're seeing just some of the most ridiculous things ever. So, I mean, all in all, it's kind of what I thought was going to happen. But did I think the offense would look that stale? No.
Again, I'm actually a little proud of you. You went right to Joe Flacco. You didn't skip QB2 instead of, as some people would want, Minshew Mania in there in place of Jalen Hurts if everything goes wrong. But I'm with you. I don't, my opinion really hasn't changed about this team. I tried not to get, too high after a week 1 beatdown in Atlanta. Obviously, I was super excited, and I thought they had a better chance to beat San Fran. But what I will say is if I had to lean one way or the other, I'd probably lean towards the latter, the second part of my question, which is the fact that, look, man, if anything, if there's been one consistent thing through 2 weeks, right? The offense had a really good week 1. They struggled desperately in yesterday's loss. But the defense has been really good the first 2 weeks of this season. So if there's a consistent part of this team so far, it's on the defensive side of the ball. And that has me saying, they only lost by 6. The defense held San Fran to 17 points. They looked really good. And the offense, if they don't make a bunch of mental mistakes, which we'll get into as the show goes on, they don't shoot themselves in the foot. They don't step out of bounds. If Derek Barnett doesn't, shove a 49er 18 years after the play and whistle is blown, who knows how this game turns out. So the fact that they were able to keep it close against, in my opinion, a really good NFC West team, I think that kind of speaks volumes. Nick Sirianni did not have a good day play calling. Jalen Hurts did not have a good day with his deep ball. And we'll get into all of that. But I just wanted to start there. And you guys, again, comment, give me your thoughts. How are you feeling today as Eagles fans after the first loss of the season? Again, here's what I want to get to first. Nick Sirianni. It was one of my questions heading into week 2 for you on Wednesday's show. And we said, look, test 1 was passed with flying colors against Atlanta. But the tape's out there now. Will he be able to adjust week to week? The film's out there on Jalen Hurts. It's out there on their offense. Will they be able to adjust, right? And he definitely adjusted. But I feel like he tried to adjust too much, Gint. He did a lot of things. And listen, to his credit, he took accountability yesterday. He's taken accountability today. And I love that about him so far, right? It's on him. He said he didn't put his guys in the best position. He didn't like his red zone calls. That's great. Hopefully, he really does clean that up and he, gets better as the year goes on. And it's growing pains as expected. But, dude, he tried to pull out a Philly special on 4th and goal. And here are 2 numbers I saw over the later yesterday. The Eagles were in 11 personnel 75% of the time in yesterday's ball game. That's 15% higher than week 1. Jalen Hurts' yards per attempt, or the air per attempt, went from the lowest in the league week 1, 3.7 yards per, to highest in the NFL in week 2, 14.6 yards per pass attempt. Again, like, he adjusted. We said we wanted to see them, stretch the field. We wanted to see Jalen Hurts take shots in this offense. But I think Nick Sirianni tried too hard to impress the people of Philadelphia. I mean, really, dude, the Philly special on 4th and goal from the 3, I didn't love it. And I think he had a really rough day on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, I totally agree. I hope the Philly special gets burned and is taken out.
It should never be run again.
It's just like reminds me of last year, truthfully. Like, just we're trying to keep this stigma of 2017 right. Still within the Eagles in 2021. But yeah, like you said, Nick Sirianni definitely was not at his best yesterday. I like what you said, though, about how he's taking accountability, which is huge, because the last head coach, we didn't see a lot of accountability taken. We saw a lot of finger pointing. So, I mean, that's step 1. But, I mean, dude, if you look before the season at the schedule, I think everyone kind of – I wouldn't want to say everyone, but most people had this chalked up as a loss. And the defense really impressed. George Kittle was mediocre.
4 for 17 yards, I believe.
On San Francisco that stuck out besides, I guess, Deebo Samuel kind of had a decent day, but
93 yards, no touchdowns.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you, dude. And the last thing to touch on with Nick Sirianni is just, it's going to be storylines all year long, and that's something that's going to be intriguing about this new Eagles team. But, it's a testament to, is he truthful? Will he change his ways? You mentioned Doug Peterson last year, not just not really taking accountability for his bad play calling, but also not changing. Like the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And that's kind of what Doug was doing with his play calling last year. And he wouldn't change his ways. Nick said he didn't like his red zone calls. What's he look like in Dallas in week 3? What's he look like against Kansas City in week 4? Will he change his ways after not having a very successful day on offense? So that takes care of the Nick Sirianni part. Again, the other thing that I asked you on last Wednesday's show was, how will Jalen Hurts look in round 2? Just like the tape is out there on Nick Sirianni's offense, the tape is out there on Jalen Hurts and what he did well in week 1 and what his tendencies are and what he likes to do, right? How would he look in week 2? 12 of 23 passing, 190 yards, 0 touchdown passes, 10 carries for 82 yards and a rushing touchdown. Looked great on that lone scoring possession late in the 4th quarter. Was really hoping to see him get a chance to have the ball back in his hands late in the 4th quarter with a chance to tie or take the lead in this game. Wasn't able to do so. Very questionable. No delay game call, but whatever. I'm not going to blame
Did
the
they
refs.
confirm if the TV was accurate and that was actually the clock?
I haven't heard anything. I didn't see anything on Twitter. I didn't see anything on TV today,
I was
but
super curious about that.
yeah, it wasn't a good look. Also, the Kevon Wallace helmet to helmet call, not a great
Trey
look.
Sermon, man, he got buried.
No,
I hope he's
that's the
okay,
problem. That's the
truthfully.
problem. And I know we're talking about Jalen Hurts, so I'm trying to get right back to that. But the problem with that, again, is how bad the Sermon, head getting batted around into the dirt looked, and then he was down. I think that's what drew the flag, and that shouldn't be the case. Did Wallace's helmet make contact with Sermon's? Yeah, but Wallace was already in motion to make a tackle. He was going low to tackle Trey Sermon, and he got hit by Ant Harris down into Wallace's already lowered helmet, and that's what drew that contact. Should have been a fumble, should have been Eagles ball, but whatever. You can't really blame the refs with how bad the offense looked yesterday. But back to Jalen Hurts again. Here's what I'll say. We praised him week 1. So we're allowed to be critical of him after a not so stellar performance. The kid didn't force anything. He didn't turn the ball over. He escaped the pocket quite a few times. Like I said, averaged over 8 yards per carry, found himself in the end zone, had a very successful day with his legs. His deep ball accuracy is fine from what I saw. Yes, just going off yesterday's game. When someone's open, right? The Rager would have been touchdown. Rager had 2-3 feet on the defender, easy throw. Quez Watkins from his own end zone beat the corner down the sideline, easy throw. Every contested deep ball, every tight coverage situation for a deep ball was underthrown. The wide receiver never had a chance to make a play on the ball. Lucky a couple of interceptions weren't thrown. And I want to ask you, just speaking on the deep ball, do you think that is arm strength? Because people have questioned that at times with Jalen Hurts, or do you think it's more of a timing and footwork type of thing? Because he's made deep throws. He has no problem chucking the ball 50 yards down the field with pretty good accuracy. But Brian Westbrook and Brian Baldinger both had great breakdowns, and Westbrook's one showed just how long he took to deliver that ball to Jalen Hurts, which probably would have been a touchdown if he leads him to the ball earlier in that route. What are your thoughts on Jalen Hurts yesterday and his deep ball?
No, absolutely. I was actually going to reference that Brian Westbrook tweet. It was the play with Devonta Smith in the end zone when he just waited a little bit too long and basically had to put the ball where Devonta Smith couldn't catch it, or he would have overthrown him, would have went out of bounds. So, but like you said, I think it's more of a footwork timing thing, which, I mean, that's just growing pains in the NFL, especially with young receivers, young quarterbacks. So, like you said, he has no problem slinging the ball. The kid has a rifle. He could throw it country mile. But for me, I think it is more of something that will come along, which I told you before the show, I was getting a lot of texts when the Rager happened and ended up getting called back, but they were like, oh, an athlete that finally recognized the flaw and fixed it. And I think it's far from fixed.
Well, yeah, dude, I saw a tweet yesterday. I actually screenshotted it. Oh, and Matt McGinty disappeared. Hopefully he rejoins us shortly, guys. But I saw a tweet saying that Jalen Hurts is elite in the middle of this ball game. And I just, listen, I hope he is elite. And I'm not trying to be I'm not being overly critical. The kid looked fine yesterday. He just couldn't overcome Nick Sirianni's play calling. But let's pump the brakes on, within a bad performance, calling the kid elite, in which the offense scored 1 touchdown. Let's see, nothing from Gint. So hopefully we get him back in here soon. But just moving on real quick, guys. Nick Sirianni adjusted too much, I would say. Looked, tried to force the ball down the field too often. Jalen Hurts went from the lowest in the league for yards per pass attempt in week 1 to the highest in the league week 2. And his yards per attempt went up just about 11 yards per throw. That's not something I really want to see with a rookie head coach and play caller with his basically rookie quarterback. And like I said, Jalen Hurts, the deep ball, every contested throw, every tight coverage situation on a deep ball, he underthrew. The wide receiver never really had a play on the ball. And that's just timing, that's just footwork, and hopefully they get that figured out. I want to switch things to the opposite side of the ball, and I want to talk about this Eagles defense. Sorry, Gint's power just went out of everybody. So hopefully it turns back on and he's back in here soon. So comment as much as you guys want to and join the conversation. But yeah, this Eagles defense, guys, it looked really good yet again. I mentioned earlier in the show, it's been the one consistent thing through 2 weeks. Now, what I will say is this defense found ways to make me scratch my head and make me angry on Sunday, because while they only held San Fran to 17 points, they held George Kittle to 4 catches for 17 yards. They also allowed San Fran's 2 touchdown scores, those 2 drives, to be over 90-yard drives, and really, really time-consuming drives at that. Having Jalen Hurts and that offense sit on the bench for a long period of time. Obviously, it really hindered them going into the fourth quarter when it made it a 2-possession game. Probably midway through the fourth quarter, didn't give the Eagles quite enough time with their timeouts. And this other thing from Dave Zangaro on Twitter, the Eagles defense, the 290-plus yard drives that I referenced on Sunday, the 49ers, they have to go back to 2001 is the last time is at least the first time in 2 decades the Eagles have given up 2 such drives in the same game. So 2001 was the last time that the Philadelphia Eagles allowed a team to drive over 90 yards on a possession for a touchdown twice. And that really bothered me. But outside of that, you can't complain about this defense. Obviously, we haven't mentioned it yet. Brandon Graham ruptured his Achilles. He's done for the year. What else happened on defense? Obviously, the Derek Barnett shove, unnecessary roughness call. And then on the offensive side of the ball, Brandon Brooks is going on the IR with a pec injury. But yeah, you can't complain about this defense. Javon Hargrave looked dominant again. Fletcher Cox looked really good. Darius Slay and Steve Nelson had a couple good plays on the ball. They didn't allow any big chunk plays against San Fran again. I guess that's something you can keep an eye out for as well. They didn't allow San Fran to to push the ball down the field quickly, which I guess kind of bit them in the ass come the end of that game. Like I said, how time consuming those drives were. You really wish they would have been a little quicker, but the defense was really stellar. Offense, like I said, Hurts was spotty, couldn't hit on deep balls, but bad play calling was basically the story of this game. Jalen Hurts just couldn't overcome it. Another issue that I had with offense, no player had more than 2 catches. I believe Quez Watkins had 2 catches, one of which being the 91-yard grab that set the Eagles up inside the 10. I believe Dallas Goedert had 2 catches for 24 yards, and I'll get to that in a second. But that's really bothersome to me. Against a secondary that was pretty depleted in San Francisco, Josh Norman had a start against Devontae Smith. He had 2 pass interference calls in the first half trying to keep up with Devontae Smith. He was picked up by San Fran like 3 days ago. And then obviously the rookie that's replacing Jason Verrett, they attacked him early for one big chunk play, but that was it, man. They didn't get the tight ends involved nearly enough. Gint referenced that earlier in the show. Zach Ertz, 1 catch for 6 yards. And by the way, Zach Ertz is now on the COVID-19 list. He is vaccinated, so there's hope that he plays week 1 against the Cowboys. But he had 1 catch for 6 yards, and Dallas Goedert had 2 catches for 24 yards. That's a problem when the week prior, Jared Goff found TJ Hockenson a bunch over the middle of the field versus the same San Fran defense, a healthier San Francisco 49ers defense than they had against the Eagles. And they just didn't really look the tight end's way. I don't know if that was by design. I don't know if that was Jalen Hurts. I don't know if they were getting open, because from the looks of it, no receiver really got open. And the last thing with this offense and these wide receivers, maybe they just weren't getting enough separation. Maybe that was an issue Sunday as well. The last catch by a wide receiver came with 7 minutes and 12 seconds left in the first half, guys. 7 minutes and 12 seconds left in the first half was the last catch by an Eagles wide receiver in this ball game. That's a big problem that can't continue to go forward. And the last thing that really stuck out to me on Sunday was self-inflicted mistakes. This was the biggest reason the Eagles lost to the San Francisco 49ers. Now, I'm not trying to be that guy. I'm not trying to be that fan like, oh, the 49ers didn't beat the Eagles. The Eagles beat the Eagles. But in a way, they kind of did. In a close ball game, the Eagles continued to shoot themselves in the foot time and time again. Let's start early in the first quarter. They're up 3-0 with a chance to go up 10-0 early in this game. Jalen Hurts hits Jalen Reagor down the sideline for about a 30 to 40-yard touchdown, and it's called back because Jalen Reagor steps out of bounds before catching the ball. and doesn't reestablish his ground in the playing field. That can't happen. Now, you can argue the defender pinned him against the boundary. He forced him out of bounds. Great, whatever, good play, blah, blah, blah. Jalen Reagor has to know where he's at on the field. You can't allow yourself to get pushed out of bounds or be this close to the boundary where that's a possibility in which you would have been up 2 scores early in this game. And as a result of that drive, as a result of that mental error, that drive ends in a blocked field goal. So no points off of that, which would have been a 10-point lead, comes still a 3-0 lead. Fast forward a little bit later. After a 91-yard Hurts to Quez Watkins bomb down the sideline, followed by a pass interference penalty on Josh Norman trying to cover Devontae Smith in the end zone, sets up a 1st and goal at the 1-yard line, and the Eagles walk away with 0 points. Self-inflicted. Can't happen. I don't want to hear San Fran played stellar defense on the goal line. 4 tries, the Eagles don't get in. They try to roll out with Ertz, and Brian Baldinger did a great breakdown of those 4 plays, and it was a disaster, and it's just a testament to really how poor Nick Sirianni's play calling was on Sunday against San Fran. He tried like a bootleg out to the one side where Zach Ertz was the only option. There was no plan B, guys. Zach Ertz was the only wide receiver in the end zone. The only route Jalen Hurts was looking for didn't happen. Then I believe they tried a run play to Sanders, got pushed back from the 1 to the 3. I forget the last attempt. And then obviously we know they tried the Philly special, which just got blown up, didn't look good. And Greg Ward, not that he would have found himself in the end zone, but dude, it's 4th and goal. Don't throw the ball out the back of the end zone. You got blockers. Try to find your way into the end zone. Don't just give up on the play. Self-inflicted mistake. I mentioned it earlier, though. After a San Fran fumble that would have set up a 2nd or 3rd, I believe it was 2nd down, and forever for San Francisco when the Eagles are trying to get the ball back for their offense, Derek Barnett does what Derek Barnett does and commits a stupid, unnecessary roughness penalty, shoving a 49er in the back way after the whistle was blown. And it gives the 49ers an automatic 1st down when the Eagles, were limited in timeouts. And, that just kind of ran out the clock. And I guess we should have known at halftime when it felt like the Eagles really won the first half and the scoreboard showed a 7-3 deficit. That probably should have told us right then and there that this wasn't going to be the Eagles' day. So with that being said, I find myself thinking, while this loss does hurt, it's expected to come with the growing pains of this year. It's expected to come with the growing pains of a first-time head coach, a first-time play caller, a first-time, quarterback. I know Jalen Hurts started in 4 games at the end of the 2020 season, but this is the first year he's the guy. He's supposed to be the franchise guy. Growing pains are expected. I've preached all offseason. This season isn't about wins and losses. It's about how they get to those wins and losses. And this was not a very good outing by this team of how they got to a loss. They hung in there and they only lost by 6 to a good NFC West team. But you shot yourselves in the foot way too many times for that to be, an excuse. And it will be extremely interesting and extremely telling on what kind of franchise quarterback Jalen Hurts is and what kind of head coach and play caller Nick Sirianni is on Monday night in Dallas. How do they respond? How does Nick Sirianni fix his mistakes? Does he call a much better game against a struggling Dallas Cowboys defense? Does Jalen Hurts bounce back after a rough day as a passer for this Philadelphia Eagles team? It's going to be really telling and really interesting to watch kind of how those two respond and how the rest of this team responds. 2 leaders go down. You don't just lose the game. You lose a leader on defense, one of your captains in Brandon Graham, who I think has only missed maybe 1 game as an Eagle. He missed a handful of games in his Eagles career, the longest tenured Eagle, by the way. And he's out for the rest of the year. Brandon Brooks, who we've just been waiting to see back in between Jason Kelce and Lane Johnson, he's going on the IR. He's not out for the year, Nick Sirianni said today, but he's going on the IR. He's going to be out for a while. Landon Dickerson's probably going to get the start at right guard in place of him. Hopefully Rodney McLeod comes back soon. I don't know. So you lost the game and you lost 2 key pieces on the trenches for both sides of the ball. And that might be a bigger story. And like I said, Zach Ertz, his status for Monday is now in question as he's on the reserve COVID-19 list. The last thing that I want to talk about today, guys, before I wrap up today's show, is the Phillies have some way found themselves back in the rotation of the Phaithful Fanatic show. They were done. They were on the back burner. I didn't want to talk about them anymore. There was no need to talk about them anymore. Football's back. Let's focus on this Eagles season. The Phillies have proved why they're so inconsistent, and we shouldn't talk about them for so long. And here comes Bryce Harper. And here comes this Phillies team yet again. Now, yes, they are 2 games back now behind the Braves, but going into yesterday, they were 1 game out of first place. And like I said, they're only 2 out of first place now behind Atlanta, and I believe they're 3.5 behind the St. Louis Cardinals for that second wild card spot. There are 13 games left. The Phillies get a 7-game homestand against the Baltimore Orioles and the Pittsburgh Pirates. They have to find a way. They have to find a way to at least win 5. I would say probably 6. Saying they need to win all 7, even though they should, is a stretch. It's really to win 7 in a row. It would be, you can't really ask for that. 6-1, 5-2 definitely is in play and has to be in play for this Phillies team to travel to Atlanta and fight for the division in Atlanta in about a week or two, week and a half. And why are we here? We are here because in a complete team sport in which, it's really hard for one player to carry a whole team because they can't affect the game that much. You would think. But no, it doesn't seem to be the case because Bryce Harper and his MVP type of season, he's my favorite for the MVP. He's actually the favorite overall right now. You can get him at -150 on most sites to win the NL MVP this season. He's willing this freaking team to a pennant run. Bryce Harper wants a Red October. I want a Red October. You guys want a Red October. And let's just hope we get one in the midst of a fun and entertaining Eagle season. Sorry for the technical difficulties on Gint's end. His power did go out and he was dealing with some stuff before the show. So for that reason, that's going to wrap up today's episode of the Phaithful Fanatics Show. I'm your host, Dylan Davis, and the Phaithful Fanatics are also brought to you by DSM Media. So give us a follow on Twitter at DSM_media. Follow us on Facebook, Twitch, TikTok. Subscribe to our YouTube, wherever you get your content, wherever you listen to your podcast. We're also on Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify. We are on everything, guys. So subscribe, follow. It's free. Do whatever you got to do. But tap in right here on DSM Media. Following the Phaithful Fanatics, 6:15, myself and Scotty will be hosting a very special edition of Turf Talk to recap what I just went over with yesterday's Eagles loss to the San Francisco 49ers, with special guest at Splash Cousin Jordan Elliott. He covers the Niners for at Niners Nation. So go give him a follow on Twitter at Splash_cousin. And that will be coming your way in just about 45 minutes. For myself, for DSM Media, have a nice night, everybody, and go Birds.